The night the light beam found me, and an otherworldly encounter at Stonehenge, written by myself, Davina St. Clair. The date was Friday, March 18th, 2011, and the air in North Texas seemed normal. Nothing appeared out of the ordinary. There I sat on the sofa with my ex-husband, watching television. From the corner of my eye, I saw a bright light and turned to view a ball of electricity move as if it were floating, and then it exploded at my front door. I turned to my ex-husband and said, "What was that?" We both witnessed the light. He stayed seated on the couch. There was no way I was not going to go out there and investigate. My curiosity led me to venture outside to see if I could figure out what had just happened. As I opened the door and stepped outside, the sky above was white with cloud cover, concealing whatever moved behind the veil. Then it began. A white beam resembling a laser descended, locking onto the threshold of my home, at my door, my front door, and then onto me. It kept flashing, beaming down as I stood beneath it. As my face was lifted to the sky, it pulsed and struck into my eyes. The brilliant white light blinding my eyes for a split second. For a few days afterward, my eyes were sensitive to light, as if they had been seared open. I was not planning on coming inside. I had not figured out what was going on yet. But my ex-husband had our daughter retrieve me at the door, and he said she was scared, so I was urged to come inside. I would have lingered longer if there had not been interference. After this occurred, I was left questioning what was this about and why? Why me? At the time, it felt like the beam chose my doorway, and there was nothing random about it. Seeing my personal myth or life story up until this point, I would describe many of my experiences as otherworldly. However, this was the first time I experienced a light beam from the sky, and it would not be the last. Where did this beam of light come from? The evening sky was white from the clouds, so I could not see its origin point. The second time I stood under a beam of light was in England at the infamous Stonehenge. Before I share the story that occurred on my first and only trip to Stonehenge thus far, I would like to expand on what was happening in my life at that time in 2011. The previous weekend, 5 days before, I had attended a workshop hosted by David Wilcock in Irving, Texas, and at the time, I felt this encounter had something to do with David, since he was the ancient aliens guy. This was what came to my mind, and the only way I could explain it at the time. Only later would I come to understand that there are those among us on this planet who are code carriers and serve as more than just a beacon. They are activators, and perhaps this was an activation of sorts due to a frequency that I was now emitting. Shortly after this light beam phenomenon unfolded, I had a dream that I was to go to Stonehenge and search for something hanging in the sky. In the dream, I was shown the stone circle and knew exactly which path to take. The way it was shown to me was that there was an octahedron hanging in the sky, encoded with information. But that was all I understood, and I didn't fully understand at the time the importance of my going there to discover this. Fast forward to September 2011. I booked a trip for myself and 2 of my children to go to England, Scotland, and Wales. In the dream, the one thing that stood out to me the most was the green grass, and I was seeing it all around me. It seemed different than the grass in Texas. The day we arrived in Salisbury and got off the tour bus, I knew which way I was supposed to go around the circle. And instead, I did the opposite. And the funny thing about it was, we decided to lie in the grass and hang out like others were doing on that perfect sunny fall day. And I got lost in the moment and completely forgot that I was supposed to be looking for something in the sky. The fact that we were lying in the grass explains why, in the dream, the grass was the biggest highlight. The tour guide made his round and said we had a few minutes, and then we were leaving, and that is when I thought, oh no, I am supposed to look for something in the sky. So I jumped up and I started to rush to get around the circle, something we hadn't even done yet. We started to walk around the circle, and this is when I witnessed a pulsing light beam strike the earth from the sky, and I couldn't get to it fast enough. When I saw it, people were standing nearby, and there were people everywhere, and yet it seemed as if no one else could see it but me. There was a druid woman dressed in a purple robe talking to someone next to the bench, and the light beam struck the ground a few times before I could get to it. I was guided to stand underneath this beam of light from the sky and just breathe and take it in. And it pulsed into me that day. We then carried on with our tour. After the stop, we went on to Glastonbury and did a tour with Tour, who guides people on tours of the tour. And then my 2 children and I went on to Avebury. I don't know when the beam of light started to appear out of my head in pictures, but for a short time this phenomenon occurred. There is a picture that I will need to find where my sister captured us standing in the shadows underneath an awning at Costco with a white light beam emanating from my head. It looked as if it was coming out of my forehead sideways into the other side of my head. I've kept this story to myself all these years, except for sharing it on social media, and it felt like this is the perfect time to share it officially. My passion to travel the world has more to do with my life purpose than anything else. From the time I was a child at the age of 5 or 6, I wanted to explore the world. I remember playing with my sister outside of our great-grandparents' house in Central Texas on an object resembling a boat. We pretended we were explorers on a ship journeying around the globe. I had my lookout glass in hand looking for the shore as I was ready to hop off that boat and explore the world at an early age. My favorite Greek philosopher, Socrates, said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And he also is famous for speaking the proverb, know thyself, which is inscribed upon the temple of Apollo in the ancient Greek precinct of Delphi. Now that I'm older and wiser, after examining my life, I feel as if I know myself. And I'm not bragging about this either. This stems from the realization that not everyone will make it to that same level of awareness due to their societal programming that makes them feel like they need to be something they are not. And sometimes the worst projections come from our family and those closest to us. As I write this, I can't help but see the irony of other people's projections throughout my entire life. Several family members have tried to make me feel horrible about wanting to travel the world. And this is not where I will tell the full story of the drama in my family dynamics. However, I am now able to look back and see the projections of their words and behaviors as if they were trying to stop me from living my life purpose by making me feel guilty for my passions and interests in life. The projections I've heard from their mouths: "You just want a vacation and go get a job like everyone else," or even worse, "You can't escape yourself." For one thing, I love myself and accept my authenticity fully now that I am more mature. And secondly, my job is what I create with my willpower. My motto is, I am the captain of my ship and the master of my destiny, and it still rings true. If I want to create a boutique travel business and visit ancient sites encoded with sacred geometry and information waiting to be downloaded and installed into my software, then I will do just that. If you have ever had a dream that didn't align with others, like the idea that you should work in a factory because someone in your family thinks that's the ideal job, or whatever the case may be, you will understand how people will tear your dreams down and try to reduce you to be like them. Only the strong can pick themselves up and keep on going by tending to a vision that only they can see. And while you're here, if you feel the stirrings of wonder and the call to walk between the seen and unseen realms of our Earth's sacred grid, I invite you to journey with me. Beginning next year, I will again be guiding small circles of travelers to ancient sites and living cultures through my boutique travel and retreat company called Earth Goddess Rising. Each journey is both an exploration and an invitation where landscapes, temples, and hidden pathways awaken the magic already within you. Our website is being renewed with upcoming tours for 2026, and you are welcome to visit. Follow the unfolding and join the EGR International newsletter to receive word as these new pathways open. As always, feel free to comment below and share this post. Until next time, I will close with the words of one of my favorite writers and leader of the Transcendentalist movement in the 19th century. Life is a journey, not a destination, by Ralph Waldo Emerson.